G'day, my name's Neen James, and as an attention expert, I am always looking for brands that pay phenomenal attention to their clients. You have heard me rave about Barre, and we have been able to interview the founder of Barre, Sadie Lincoln. We've also interviewed studio owner, Lauren Zill. You may remember her, but what I really wanted to do was get into the nitty-gritty of how it really works by interviewing one of the studio managers who I love and who is also probably one of my most favorite instructors. I want to tell you a little bit about her first, though. Eleni is a phenomenal brain and has a huge heart. Eleni has a Bachelor in Arts in Psychology. She also has a Master's of Arts in Counseling. She holds a dual certification in elementary and secondary school, and she's also a licensed professional counselor. And I'm pretty sure all of that comes into play when you deal with some of the crazies that come into the Barre studio in Doylestown. So welcome, Eleni. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Neen, for having me.
So you have this amazing ability that whenever someone comes into the studio or whether they're in your class, I've noticed you pay phenomenal attention. You use their name, you know about injuries, you know about their kids. It's phenomenal to me to watch that in 30 people in a class, you can know everybody's name. So tell me, what does attention mean to you?
It means to me listening and just really understanding the small details about someone, their life, how they are, how they react, what's going on with them. So it's going a little bit deeper than just, I'm here, I'm listening to. It's really just getting facts about them and just understanding what's happening in their world, in their life.
Right.
Just those small details. But
you somehow remember that. So you remember people from one class to the next. Or I've seen you do it. You'll have someone in your class and you'll say, I know you haven't done a class with me, but I'm sure I've met you at front desk. So that's a really cool ability to not just remember their face, but you remember details about them as well.
And I think some of it, it has to, if I go back to when I worked as a school counselor, in graduate school, they talked a lot about suing and people getting sued and being brought into court and how you keep very good records. And for me, I just really never wanted to be pulled into court. So I did not keep records. I did not write down notes or anything about the counseling sessions I had with the kids. So that way I avoided, ever being brought into court or them having to subpoena my records. So it was just a lot of being able to really truly get to know the kids, get to know the families, and know all those small little important details about them.
Right.
And I think that just however I kind of hardwired my brain to do that, then I've brought that into the studio. So it's really being able to look at these clients and give them that same, TLC and support. Because I think it is scary when you come in to take a fitness class and you don't know what's going on. And then it's just making them feel great and you just kind of keep going with that. And then I really do like people.
Right.
I like getting to know about them and talk about them. So it's fun to ask them questions about their kids and their grandchildren and trips and just whatever's happening in their life.
Right. You also have set it up so that people feel really comfortable. You're very approachable. You have a lot of fun in the class. You're very authentic. So it doesn't matter whether you're at the bar in the studio, meaning BARRE, or if you're in the bar with some of your guests afterwards, you're the same person. So there's an authenticity that is constant with you as well.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's natural, and I hope it comes off as being natural.
Yeah, it really does. In the book, we're making some distinctions between paying attention, which is very much in the moment, remembering that person in your class, remembering that person when they come into the studio, and attentiveness being a philosophy about doing things that make it more systemized. Lauren and I were talking in her interview about how maybe for the newer guests you have, that it's not their first experience, but you make sure the front desk talks to the instructor and says, hey, this is Neen's second class. This is who she had last time. So I call that systemized thoughtfulness. You have good systems in place to be able to be more attentive. Is that true?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And managing the studio, I get to manage the girls that work front desk. And we actually just had a meeting on a couple of days ago talking about how really look into someone's profile. So when they're coming in, understand what number class are they on, get to know just who they are just by, what's in the system, and then put a face with the name.
Right.
Start talking to them. And then we like to make those links of clients that come together. So who is friends with who?
True.
Or, we have a lot of mother-daughter relationships. So we talk a lot to the, clients about their families and just making all those connections. And then it is very important for those of us that are at that front desk then to pass that information on to the instructors. So then they can further take that conversation and progress that relationship.
Right.
And I do think that it makes clients feel that there's that community. They feel like they're one of us. They're part of the Barre 3 family, which is so important.
And what's fascinating to me is, I have a variety of different ways I love to work out. And what I've found is if I miss a class, I'm missing seeing the people. So it's like you don't want to disappoint the instructor by canceling, or the person, Christy is someone that I love being with, and that connection. Sometimes we get to work out together. And so even the fact that the front will say, hey, Christy's coming today, or do you want to save a spot for her, or whatever, I think that association's amazing. What are some of the other things you've done as far as working with the front desk, the things you do in studio, that have really shaped this community that you've created in Bucks County?
I think what's super important and the foundation for us is, so when you talk about paying attention, it's the people that work within the studio knowing each other. So really being attentive to one another and what their needs are, and just what their family is. So, whether they're married, not married, what's going on, if they have kids, watching instructors like Paige, she got married and now she's pregnant, and really having that connection.
Right. And
then taking that, and then now we're welcoming more friends and family into our community, right, and extending it to them. And right. So here we are. So being very real, I think is super important. Also reaching out to clients. So if you haven't seen someone in a while, hey, how are you? Just shoot them an email, just checking up on them, nice. About you, where have you been? Clients at their first visit, they receive an email from me personally, just saying, hey, I just wanted to reach out and see how your first class was, nice. With whoever the instructor is, and how did it go? If there's anything that you ever need, come to me. I'll help you. I'll take care of whatever it is.
I love it.
And we get positive feedback from that. And I love it because people write back and they're like, hi, my first class was this. And you get all this information from them. And you're like, that's just so awesome. So sometimes if I haven't crossed paths with these clients, I almost want to seek them out because of just their emails and having that contact. And when they show up, they're like, oh, you're Eleni. Oh, it's so good to,
I love that. So I love that.
Like almost like making pen pals with people.
Yeah. And I think in a world where everything is so digital, it's those analog systems. So you're leveraging technology by reaching out on email, but you're making sure you get a face-to-face connection when they're actually in the studio, which I think is really cool. I think in a digital world, it's the analog systems that get results. Using people's names, the simplicity of shout outs. I've seen you do it in class. If someone's doing a phenomenal job in a particular position or pose, you give them praise publicly, which gives them that extra bit of strength to go on. People love the sound of their name and being called out in a positive way. You do a great job of doing that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. And they do. We see the response. And I love sometimes when you do give that shout out and you're like, great job to whoever. And they look and they're like, who, me? Are you talking about me? And you're like, yes, you. And they feel like it, and it does. And I think that it almost like encourages them to be like, I can do this.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Like, this is amazing.
I will be the first to admit that when I do Barre 3, and there are many versions of Barre, but Barre 3 is truly the best one, I will screw up my face. I will curse in Eleni's class, not always to her face, but sometimes. I will do an eye roll. I will be like, sometimes I just quit at the bar. But what's also awesome about that is that acceptance that you give, and the fact that you're always encouraging people, just do what you can where you are, always modify. Like, I love that about the acceptance that you've also created. And that's another way of showing attention to the individuals in the room. You're really good at that.
Thank you. And you know what, I think the goal too is that we want clients to start paying attention to themselves.
Yes.
And that's super important, is to be in touch, not only just with physically what's happening in your body, but also emotionally.
Right.
You're there, 60 minutes just for you.
Mm-hmm.
Take advantage of that,
Right.
Find what your needs are and take care of yourself.
I love too that the studio has a device-free policy that people can't bring their cell phones into the studio as well. And I love that that also forces you to put your cell phone in your locker and just really focus in on making the most of this moment for yourself. So I love that. I think that's a really cool policy. Have you ever thought back, when you look at your career, whether it was in your time as a school counselor, whether it's in management of the bar studio, have you ever found a time where you had to refocus your attention? What was the results of that, or the bottom line?
I think so. When I first started with Barre, so when Lauren opened the first studio, I was working as a school counselor. So there was a lot of individual attention, a lot of detail. So when I would come into the studio, it was not that I didn't love up the clients, but it was, it was that 5:45 class, and they were almost a whole to me instead of being individual people. Like, I'd be like, all right, I'm here. I just spent the day, I worked with like 15 kids individually. I had a couple parent meetings, and now everybody, all 20 of you, are just one big group of just a person. So even when the Doylestown studio opened, and here I am, so this is what I'm doing now. This is my full-time job. At first, it was like they were clients as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started thinking, no, you really need to get to know these clients as individual and break it down, and not just look at them as, well, that's the group that likes to come in the morning, and they're the group that likes to come at night. Okay, so who are these people?
Right.
And why are they coming at these times? And who comes at what time, and how many times a week, and what else do they have going on? So that's, I had to step back a little bit and start to, see everyone as an individual. So really pay attention to who they were.
That makes
instead
sense.
of what it was back in the day, when I would just like kind of drop in and be like, hey, you're all here. We all came from work. Woo, we're done. So now it's really just knowing and chatting. And I love the front desk piece of it, because it gives me that time to really, truly connect.
Right.
And sometimes there are clients that'll just hang around. So class is over, they just sit and chit chat.
Which is fine, unless you're trying to close the studio.
Well, that was like today. I gotta go. But I really love you. We'll continue this.
When you think about the work that you do, what is the most important thing that you need to pay attention to?
I think not just making assumptions about people. I think that everybody has their own story, their own background, and not just assuming that here you are, and because you can work out at this time, you're, someone that gets to stay home and you don't have to work and someone's taking care of you. Or at night, just assuming that you're coming from this grueling job and you're just dropping in, and, this is your 1 hour of getting peace. And like, it's really knowing that we all have stuff that we're bringing in, and helping people to kind of work through that.
Right. There's something special though about the moment you step into the studio. What I've realized is, and someone who, I'm immersed in the world of attention, so I'm always looking for examples of where people pay great attention. But I've noticed it's the one place where I feel like I can disconnect from life outside. So from the moment you step foot into the studio, it's obviously a beautiful space. The retail is lovely. The front desk is welcoming. The lockers are easy to access. the flow of the studio has been really well thought through as well. But there's something really interesting about the fact that you do get treated like an individual, not like just a member of a gym somewhere where you sign in and then that's it. And there's something really cool, even in the intimacy of, I remember picking up a pair of pants, a shirt in retail, and you said that would go with the pants you've already bought. Like in your brain, you're cataloging what people already have. Mm-hmm. I interviewed my stylist from one of the major retail stores here in the King of Prussia Mall, and she has the same ability as you. Her name's Tiffany, and she remembers what I've bought, and she puts it together with the new season pieces. You seem to have that. I think that's an incredible skill of paying attention and being able to hold that in your brain as well, that you've made it important and told your brain this is something you need to pay attention to. I think it's very cool. When you think about examples of companies you know that are doing a good job of paying attention to their clients or their members or their subscribers, who comes to mind for you?
For me, it's and it's going to sound crazy, Acura.
Okay, so tell me about that. Why Acura? No one said that before.
So I've had several Acuras, and I stick with them. It's the little things that they do. So the salesperson that I've dealt with over the last several years, he calls every couple months just to see how the car is.
Huh.
Yeah. I just spoke to him a couple of days ago. He's like, happy 1-year anniversary on your, TLX. And I was like,
wow.
How are you? They send you birthday cards for your car.
Oh my God, that's so clever.
Yes. And they check in, they know when you need servicing, and they're just very good from when you walk in the door to when you leave. And then they continue to follow up with you. And so much so that I was able to talk my dad out of, he had Mercedes for 28 years, and I switched him over to Acura. My
wow.
Mom, Volvo fan, she now has an Acura. And it's the way that they just take care of you.
It's the service. We interviewed Joey Coleman for our book, and Joey is famous for his first 100-day methodology. And he says, we spend so much time getting clients, the initial prospecting we invest, and then we get the client, and then they become a number, and then we sort of forget about them. But he has this 100-day process, and sounds like your Acura dealer has a similar methodology where they're constantly looking for ways to stay engaged with the people who buy from them, which is very, very clever. And I know you guys do that. I know that's part of the philosophy of you, the way that you run the Bar 3 studio in Doylestown as well.
Yeah. Yes.
So any final tips for people, given all of your background? You have such a fascinating background. You have an amazing story to tell the world. And on a daily basis, you get to make people feel amazing about themselves because they're in your company. Any final thoughts about attention or even attentiveness?
I think for me, it's kind of when you have someone in front of you or with you, kind of letting your stuff go and listening to them and just really taking that time. I feel like we're always in a rush. We always need to be somewhere or something to do. Just sit back and just really listen and absorb their words, their stories, whatever it is that they're sharing, their message that is coming to you.
I love it. That's so true. And you are a living example of that. Eleni, it has been a delight to have you on the show. Thank you so much for sharing everything. I'm excited to share your interview with other people. Thanks again for everything you do.
Thank you, Neen. Take care.